unofficially, he's big and long, he thanked me very much. I just flashed him when his trailer was past my car. Just to say, yeah, you can come in, I'm helping him. He did something for me, I did something for him, and he just acknowledged it by indicating left and right. Now, he's a... Thank you for ramming him.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, you're not expected to do that, okay? Yeah, coming off here. Right, that's just something I'll do as a full licence holder that just assists. It just warns them up with presence and all that. So it goes against the thing of flashing the lights, but it's one of those unofficial rules of the road. But I thought I'd let you know it.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Bring yourself across there.
Okay, interesting clip that's been sent to me. It's from a TikTok driving instructor, and this has been sent to me from one of my viewers who was a bit concerned about what they were seeing. They're quite an anxious driver, and so they were not sure if this is, you know, very common practice, and they certainly didn't feel comfortable like kind of watching what they were seeing. Now what he does, he joins the dual carriageway, lorry's in lane 2, and he says that the lorry has moved out for them, and then he starts what I think the problem with TikTok, not saying it's exclusively TikTok, but certainly seems to be on TikTok from what I'm seeing, is this. I mean, I feel like there's so many driving instructors on there that they're just out for content. And if you watch, for me, this is an instructor that's just more into the fact that he's going to get content and this is something that he can make a video out of than actually teaching his pupil something. The first thing is, he says, right, when his trailer passes me, I'm going to flash the lights. Now, your pupil's on a dual carriageway by the looks of it. And, you know, should they not know how to flash the lights by that point? Yes, they probably should. I think that can get forgotten because it's not something that we obviously encourage learners to do in terms of flashing the lights unless it's to warn of your presence. I think it can sometimes be a bit forgotten. So I'm not going to dwell on that too much. But that's the first thing I noticed. The next thing is, look how early he flashes the headlights to say to this lorry, yeah, come back in. I don't know about you, but I don't want to invite a 40-ton plus vehicle to come into my safe braking area. So no, I don't flash the lights at lorries, and I expect that HGV driver to make a good job of moving back in. I like the fact, of course, this instructor made sure that people didn't overtake on the left, you know, good stuff, all right? But I didn't like to see this. The other thing I didn't like is the timing. You're coming up to your exit and you've decided to put this vehicle in front of you, keep them too close by the looks of it, but then they block your view potentially of that exit. And if there's traffic then on the slip road, you could potentially come off at high speed and suddenly find you're into a queue of traffic. And for me, that's then pretty dangerous. So you're encouraging a pretty bad practice here. Now, from my HGV days, I used to overtake things. Now, bear in mind, I was 18. Army had special dispensation. Civvy Street, you've got to be 21 to be a Class 1 HGV driver. You know, your C licence. I did my C licence at 18 years of age, at the Defence School of Transport. So the dispensation is essentially there, well, for reasons, of course. I do genuinely remember thinking, as I went past, it was mainly lorries, of course, that do this. It's sort of trucker code, isn't it? They would flash the lights to me, and I always remember thinking, oh, I'm quite close to you. And I'd go a little bit further. And I obsessed about, like, kind of leaving a bit of distance. That's always the way I've been. I was loving the side mirrors, loving the awareness that I had to show. I've always kind of hyper-focused on the driving side of things, so I've ended up in the right career, really. But I would make the decision of when my vehicle came back in. The biggest, I love driving the drops, demountable rack operating platform system. When it was loaded, you couldn't see out the back, so you were reliant on the side mirrors. And I loved it, but it's a very heavy vehicle. When you put then all the fast packs of ammunition, the missiles, the rockets, then you put the forklift truck on the back so that you can get all that off at the other end. You know, you're talking a very, very heavy vehicle. And I took that very seriously. I did understand the consequences if I get this wrong. And I never really paid attention to the flashing lights. I was like, so I can tell in the mirrors when I'm at a safe distance to now come back in. So I would do it myself. So I never really got on with it, right? I never really understood that anyway. And I've never paid it another thought until I watched this video. And I watched it, and there was, if I'm honest, there was just nothing I really liked about what that instructor's doing. That's my opinion. I would love to get some of your opinions, because I know, for example, I'd love especially Smiler Bob's opinion, because we have a video coming up over the next few weeks. Smiler Bob doesn't like people flashing lights to give away their priority and add pressure to people to complete turns, etc., etc. And I fully agree with that. And between Bob and myself, we have an array of footage to demonstrate why it's just not a good idea. Shouldn't really be happening. Flashing lights at times make sense. Okay, now I've actually saved some footage of the one occasion over the last 8 years that I've flashed my lights at someone to give way, to let them through, and I'll obviously play that as part of that video. But I'm very interested in your opinions here. You know, do you feel the need to flash lorry drivers to come back in, or do you, like me, do you fully accept that's their responsibility? They are trained to do it, and they don't need you to flash the headlights. Do you want to encourage, like the driving instructor did, a 50-60 ton plus vehicle, potentially, depending what it's carrying, in on you as close as he did, certainly as you're planning your exit? Baffling. I mean, there's a horrific video. I'll see if I can find it. I don't know if it was from this country off the top of my head, but what it was the a vehicle that, you know, comes too late to their exit, and their view is blocked by I think a HGV, and as they move into the slip road, they crash straight into the queue of traffic. And it just reminded me of that, you know, encouraging this vehicle straight into your safe braking distance, that completely blocks your view. But, you know, let me know, am I being over dramatic? Do you think, no, I have a point? How do you treat it? And do you watch that video and see problems, or do you watch that video and think, oh, that's nice, that's good etiquette? Okay, love to hear your opinions on this.